What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. It's a phrase that sounds empowering, but in reality, it's not a universal truth. Hardships can shape people, but not always in a positive or strengthening way. Sometimes they just break people down. The pain that we can feel during our lifetime it's not an indicator of growth, because pain can leave a permanent damage to you in the forms of trauma, grief. It's a scar that doesn't really heal entirely, no matter what. The repeated struggles that you might go through will not necessarily lead to more strength. Instead, it might lead to exhaustion. In worst case, even burnout or hopelessness. One person might use hardships in life as a motivation to grow, while another might spiral into despair from the exact same experience. So strength and resilience is not really something that magically appears in everyone due to the circumstances that they go through. A lot of factors are the influence of what's gonna happen to you, like your personality, your mental health, your support systems. I think that telling someone that what doesn't kill you makes you stronger can be a bit of a lie, basically, because it doesn't always lead to strength, which is not a bad thing because, like I said, we're all different and you can't really expect to build resilience by going through hardships. It's just probably not gonna work every single time. If you lose a person that you loved in your life, then it's probably gonna hurt a lot. And then if it were to ever happen again to a different person, another person that you also love, I don't feel like the pain would be any easier. In fact, maybe it would be even harder because you are just adding onto your pain, into what you're carrying. So it's not always about being strong. Sometimes it's just about surviving it. Surviving might be enough in itself. Getting stronger from hardships can definitely work, but it can depend on whether you had the time to process and heal from whatever happened, whether you had support from others around you, whether you just found any meaning in your struggles. Some people can emerge stronger through those hardships, those situations, but it's not because the suffering itself made them that way. It's more so because they found a way to adapt to it. So growth is not really automatic. Just because you suffer doesn't mean you're gonna grow. It requires something more, and sometimes that something never really happens, and all that suffering was really for nothing. If you are not given the right conditions to heal, then pain isn't really a lesson in strength. I feel like that's a more honest perspective. The harsh reality is that life is not really fair, never was, and therefore sometimes hardships just take away from you, and trying to find anything positive will just not happen. Some pain doesn't have a lesson. It just doesn't. It's just pain. You can definitely heal from it, but just because you healed, it doesn't really mean that you became immune to any other type of suffering in the future. As people, we tend to believe that suffering makes us stronger because it gives us the sense of control, which we do not have in reality. The false statement that if you endure something once, you'll be prepared for it next time. But things like grief or loss, it doesn't really follow that logic. If you lose someone, the pain doesn't lessen because you've experienced it before. It just adds to whatever you've already carried with you. So the question arises, what can be really taken from all of this? And maybe the answer is nothing. Maybe life is just unfair. And sometimes all you can do is just to acknowledge that and keep on living. It's worth remembering that surviving itself is a statement, because a lot of people give up. Some people don't make it through their pain. So just being here, trying to make sense of what's happening, that's already a quiet kind of strength, in my opinion. If you ever feel deep pain, it's something hurts you deeply, then it means it mattered to you a lot. It means you felt something real. And maybe it doesn't make the pain any easier, but it shows you that the things that you lost or the things that you are losing were worth it. They were worth having. You felt love, and that's important. That means you're a human, a good human. One thing that might not seem so positive from it all is maybe the empathy that you may gain from going through suffering in your life, because you'll be able to see the pain in others. You'll be able to relate and be there for them, possibly, to give them a hand. I guess sometimes that's the only thing that we can really take away from it all. We can be more aware of the pain that someone else is going through, of how deep it goes, and be there for that person, even if there was nobody else for us at the time of our suffering. It doesn't erase any unfairness of it all, but at least it gives you a way to do something with the pain instead of letting it sit. And sometimes the pain it doesn't have any meaning, and that's okay. If it doesn't, then it doesn't. Like I said, life is unfair, never was fair. So you don't have to feel bad about not being able to grow from your hardships, because the reality is way different than what others are trying to tell us. Basically, it's just reality. And suffering from hardships is not a failure. It's just the way it is. It's just life.